I'm going to do a video here real quick on how to field strip the Glock 19X. This model actually just came out. This was Glock's submission to the military. They actually ended up losing out to the Sig Sauer for the military's carry weapon. But basically just want to show you real quick how to field strip the Glock 19X. So most of you, if you are familiar with Glock at all, you'll know that pretty much most all Glocks are the same. So if you can field strip one, you can field strip them all. You can probably do it in your sleep. This has several little upgrade options on it over the typical Glock, just because it was the military submission. But essentially that there's no real difference on the actual field strip of it though. So what I do is, after it has been safety checked, nothing is in there, point it safe direction, you have to dry fire the weapon. That way that the trigger will be set all the way back, and you can proceed with the actual field strip now. So you'll actually be using these takedown levers. There's one on this side just above the trigger, and there's one on this side just above the trigger. This is actually the same piece. It's actually a takedown bar, and it runs all the way through the gun. You can kind of see how there's a little piece up here at the top of that slot, and then the bottom of the slot is kind of open air. So you actually, here in a moment, you'll actually grip this and you'll actually be pulling that bar down, which will allow this slide to release. So the way that I do this is I come at the weapon like you're actually going to handle it at the range, and I actually take and I just kind of slide my hand up like that and get a little bit of a grip. And as you do this, what you'll do is you'll actually kind of grip your hand a little bit, and that'll cause the slide to come back slightly. You don't have to do it too far, just get a little bit of a gap there, and then you'll come back to this slide release. You'll grip it on both sides, pull that down, and as you let go of the slide and move it forward, it'll slide right off the gun. And then you just have these two pieces here. You've got your slide and you've got the lower portion. So that slide release, it's actually moving portion inside the weapon. You can see it right there on the inside going up and down. That's what you're actually, when you pull down on, that allows that slide to come right on off the weapon. So now you've got clear access to clean all of your interior portions, get you a real good cleaner here to where it'll take off all that gun residue and everything like that. This is a fairly new weapon. It actually just came out last month for release to the public. I do have a lot of rounds to it, and I did just do a field strip and clean not too long ago, so it's not all that dirty. So now you've got your slide here. And what you'll notice is the entire slide, out of all of this portion here, there's really only three parts here that you kind of take apart. You put a little pressure on this spring coming that way, and that spring comes right on out of there. And for this this model, the spring is kind of like the Glock 26, where it's doubled up. And that's for help you out with a little bit of that felt recoil. And then the barrel, you just kind of get a little grip here on this little centerpiece of the barrel, and it just comes right on out of there. So now essentially you've got a bare naked slide here. I'm not going into the facts and the details on getting into the firing pin and everything like that. This is just a field strip to be able to just clean the weapon and keep it functioning in good order. So if you want more details on releasing the firing pin and all that kind of stuff, there's plenty of videos out there. As you can see, I've got some oil here where I just cleaned it up. So essentially just making sure that it's got good and clean, and then I put a good amount of oil on it. Glocks actually don't need to be cleaned all that often. From my experience at least, you'll have people out there that'll tell you different, but out of most weapons, if you're comparing them, you do not need to clean and oil your Glock as much as you do, say, a 1911 or some other guns. But just giving you a brief overview here of how to field strip this weapon. You put things back in reverse order here. So essentially you've got your barrel here. I'll just give you a quick overview of what that looks like. It just goes back in reverse order. So that piece that you grabbed to take it out, you just grab it to put it back in, slide that barrel right down inside of that slide, and it can actually come out the end there. So when you drop it in, it will come all the way out. So when you're pushing it back, gets back to the back, it actually slides right down into place. So that's how you know there's nothing special to it. Essentially you just feel it lock right into place right there, and it won't move. And you take your spring here, put that back inside of this hole right there, and what you'll actually be doing there is you'll actually be putting a little bit of pressure on that spring in order to get it into this little channel right there in the barrel, so it'll sit just like that. So when you put it in, it'll be like that. You put a little bit of pressure to get it to actually sit down inside of that gap there in the barrel. So you see how it sits up just a little bit above that little lip there. So you've got to actually try to get that down inside that lip. Put just a little bit of pressure there, and you'll see that it'll sit in just perpendicular to the slide. So from here, you're ready to put these two pieces back together. You'll notice on the Glock, you've got some metal channels here, front and back on both sides. This slide actually slides right down in those channels. You'll see the channels, they kind of match up here on the slide. So put that right down in those channels and just kind of slide it back. It'll actually come right on back in. Once you get to about that point where you got a little bit farther to go, you'll actually do a kind of like you're racking it under normal circumstances. Once you rack it one time, the slide is completely back on. It will not slide back off the front. You can see that the trigger has now sprung forward. What I like to do is I like to just give it several racks, especially after a cleaning. That really gets the oil down inside of those grooves and everything. And you can dry fire in a safe direction, and you'll know that this weapon is completely put back together as it should. So once again, just giving you a nice brief overview there on a quick and easy way to field strip this Glock 19X, and most Glocks are the same. I hope you like this video. Take care. Have a great day.